Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred. I'm Jeremy Schnell. We are just over 3 weeks away from the start of college football season for the Arizona State Sun Devils. They'll be taking on NAU at Mountain America Stadium. Guys, it's getting closer, which means only one thing, that Camp T starts this week.
Tomorrow,
as we're recording this on a Tuesday. But we're not going to start with that. We'll get to Camp T stuff in just a minute. We're going to start with the coaches poll, where ASU is ranked. Where do you think they are, Damon?
Well,
you know they are.
As Kenny Dillingham said, we know that polls they mean a lot, and so we should really lean into them. That's what he said after hearing where ASU was.
Of course he did.
Being at 11 in the coaches poll at the moment is actually pretty good, right?
Not quite top 10, though.
Right, but it shows that people are taking them seriously this year.
I think that was higher than any time they were in the AP until the end, right?
Correct. They weren't taken seriously all the way up into the playoff selection show. They weren't taken seriously during the playoff selection show.
Yeah, they were
leading up to the Texas game. They still weren't taken seriously.
Yeah, they were put behind Boise State,
which was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
Hindsight is 2020.
And bad for business as well.
Yes. Definitely bad for business.
But the thing that, Damon, you talked to me about, you said that you didn't think Miami should be ranked ahead of ASU.
I just would like to see it a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Miami is one of those teams where, a little bit like Florida, where they always have these really good recruiting classes, and, you know, they never seem to put it together into a very successful season. Meanwhile, ASU is kind of starting this track record to be a team that doesn't get super good recruiting classes, but overperforms.
Again, this poll means nothing.
Right.
It's the preseason poll. It's the preseason
the
coaches.
team doesn't put any weight
coaches
into
poll.
it.
Right. But seeing a poll where there are only two teams ahead of them right now that didn't make the playoff last year in Miami and Alabama, that's pretty telling about what people think about this ASU team coming into the season, Jesse.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I thought ASU would get like a 20th ranking going into the season, and we'll still see how they're put in the AP poll. But I honestly put a little bit more credence into the coaches poll just because it's peers, and I think that like other coaches can kind of tell more if a team is good compared to, a writer. So I think that, I was a little bit surprised. I didn't think ASU would get that kind of respect. However, I'm on Damon's side here. I don't think Carson Beck is a very good quarterback. I think that Mario Cristobal is a great recruiter, not a good coach. I would say he's on the same level as like a John Calipari in basketball. John Calipari, great recruiter.
Has one championship.
He's won championship with the amount of recruiting classes that he's had. It's kind of crazy that he didn't win with the Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns team, the John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins team. Like those were some really good teams that he didn't win with, but he's always been a great recruiter. So I kind of put that where Mario Cristobal is.
Digress.
I kind of put that where Mario Cristobal is. So yeah, I think I would have put ASU top 10 at 10. I think 10 would have been a good spot for them.
What do you think about Alabama?
They're
always going to be.
Alabama.
They're always
it's okay.
But like also. Alabama could be too low at 9 or at 8, wherever they are. So, like,
LSU was the other one that I was thinking about not being that great.
It's do you buy Garrett or do you buy Sam? Do you buy the supporting cast? Do you buy which supporting cast?
I think
so. It is 3 teams ahead of them that didn't make the playoffs.
3 teams. Okay.
That's my fault. Yeah. So I missed.
But no teams
LSU.
in the Big 12 ahead of them.
Correct. Which is where they should down real quick. Which is where they should be. Yeah. Go
20
ahead.
Kansas State, 21 tied Iowa State, BYU 23, 24 Texas Tech, and then Utah, Baylor, TCU, Colorado, and Kansas also get votes. So it's what we've been hearing with the Big 12. There's a lot of good teams, but not a lot of elite teams.
And I feel like they're getting some respect here with more teams that are entering the top 25 of this particular poll.
Yeah, I think I know there were others receiving votes, but I think that Utah is going to be the team that kind of has a surprise bounce back year. I'm not sure it's surprising. I think people kind of expect them to have a bounce back year.
Now that they kind of have an idea of what their quarterback situation is going to be.
Yeah, it's a good...
Rather than waiting for Cam Rising all
and they
season.
Have the offensive coordinator who just coached that quarterback too, so it's not like that big of a jump for him too.
Yeah, so I think, the Big 12's receiving more respect this year, and ASU is continuing to receive respect this offseason, which we've seen. It seems like everybody's buying in nationally, locally. Now it's can they not go 8-4.
Now, when did you guys know? I'm putting you guys on the spot. Do you know when the AP poll comes out?
Monday.
Monday.
So
yeah.
I'll be really waiting to see, what the writers think about this ASU team, because that kind of segues into a conversation that I want to have with you, Damon, because we talked about it before the show started, just about the perception of this team. Like, was it a flash in a pan last year? Was it all Scattaboo? How are they going to replace Scattaboo? Now, will the writers think that, or will they see that on paper this team is equipped to do well without Scattaboo?
I like to think that there's a little bit of respect there, just from the standpoint of, like, there's this ESPN thing that recently came out that kind of showed where everyone's returning production is at in the whole country. And ASU was, like, near the top of the list, 79% of their returning production, or 79% of the production returns. And it really is just Scattaboo that is, like, a piece that you counted on that isn't back. Shamari Simmons a little bit on defense as well. Leaf Fatani on the offensive line. But, like, those spots are in good hands, I feel like. And we can get into the running back situation, which is becoming pretty clear at this point, a week into camp. And, I think it's what we expected in terms of a by-committee approach. But Kyson looks like the lead guy. Kyson Brown, I mean, he's grown so much from when he first got here to flashing at times when Scattaboo was out of the lineup, like in that UCF game, or in the second half of the Arizona game. I mean, he really had his moments, and I think he's ready to come out of his shell and kind of have a breakout year.
I think a lot of this preseason hype that is coming about with ASU has to do with the fact that they have so many returners. It's easy to kind of gauge that they're probably going to be good, because you look at some of these other teams, that some of them might have returners, but some of them are, you're just relying on a great player that's coming in that is, a transfer or maybe a freshman. So I think that the continuity that ASU has makes it kind of easy to hype them up.
Yeah, and what I would say about, just moving forward and this team and what we should expect a team that plays hard. We should expect a team that doesn't care about the outside noise, which is something that Kenny Dillingham has obviously preached all throughout the offseason. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. And, the outside noise won't matter at the end of the year when they're, hopefully back to where they were last year.
And that culture is really solidified right now with this team, it feels like. I mean, from everything Dillingham has talked about being process-oriented, like you said, not caring about what outside people think, whether it's good or bad. And, something that was being talked about on the radio on our air today is just Sam Levitt's alpha to him and how much that can be a driving force. And, I mean, it really is just something you see on a day-to-day basis. This team behaves the exact same now that it was acting in September and October of last season when the whole world was against them. They still feel the doubt coming in from the people who are like, they can't prove and sustain this. Everyone in that building feels that, and I think that they're still pissed off. And I don't think that they feel validated from what they did last year, because they didn't leave last year feeling good about what they did.
We can get into Levitt and the wide receivers now if you guys want. Jesse, you were out at practice on Saturday. Damon, you've been out at practice as much as you can, as much as possible. And obviously we'll all be at Camp T on Saturday for the scrimmage. Damon will be up there a few days before each of us, me and Jesse, I should say. But Jesse, specifically on Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt and the wide receivers, along with, Sam Levitt, what did you see from those guys?
A play that stood out to me, I'll give you one specific play. They were doing the drill where it's basically there's a DB covering a receiver and Sam throws them the ball, and it's like
one-on-ones.
It's one-on-ones close to the end zone in the red zone. And man, did Jalen Moss just? I'm not going to say he mossed somebody.
I'll say it. He mossed him.
But this was a different play than the one you're talking about.
Okay.
This was the one on Saturday. There was he just showed his toughness on a catch. Like that's what he did, and it was just he just fought through the contact on the catch. And I think he's going to be the guy. I know there's a lot of hype around Jaron Hamilton. I think Jalen Moss is going to be the guy that's going to be the number 2 receiver on this team.
You think he ahead of Malik and Jaron Hamilton?
Yeah, I think that's how it will shake out receptions wise. Like I think that unless Kyson gets more receptions or Shaman gets more receptions, but as far as receivers themselves go, I would say that I think he's probably going to be in the 35-40 range.
How impressed have you been with Moss, Damon?
He looks the part of someone who has experience at the college level already. You know, we've talked about the 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns that he's had at Fresno State over the last 2 years. And in a system that is pretty translatable into this one, given how Marcus Arroyo and that offensive coach, know each other very well and have talked about Moss a lot. And I mean, he's very clearly showing his experience just as far as making those contact catches and things like that. And just how he operates in the slot, that's the role he's been in for the most part so far as slot.
And this was kind of like a route that a slot receiver would make, the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, and he's kind of taken over for Melquan Stovall in that role. I think we're going to see Malik McClain more in that X kind of role on the outside just because he has that size. He's been moving really well, too. We noticed today especially. And, a lot more solid hands than last season. We saw some drops at times last year, and so that area has been a lot better, too. But, yeah, Jaron Hamilton, I mean, I don't think
I was going to ask you, what for him, what has his chemistry been like with Sam? Because that's something, obviously he's flashed at points in camp.
Yeah.
But what has his chemistry been like with Sam?
I think their ability to connect on big plays has been big in that sense, just because of like the validation you feel, or not even the validation, but like it is a bit exhilarating when you connect on a deep ball. And so just for the amount of times that that's happened to now Hamilton is starting to get some motion pre-snap and, do a little bit of underneath things, which is something he talked about before camp opened about wanting to do. And I just think that, the more that they do together, I just think that that's turning out to be one of the better connections in this receiving core.
And you mentioned you wanted to know about the quarterbacks and receivers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I noticed about Sam, he was vocally leading the guys. That was awesome to see. I thought that Jordan Tyson he's put on a lot of muscle.
Yeah, we got to talk about the physical transformation of Jordan Tyson.
And, he just looks good.
Huge.
Like, he looks good on the field out there. Like, I think we kind of...
He's quicker, too.
Blew over that. He just... Like, it matters the guys behind him. Jordan Tyson's going to do his thing if he can stay healthy. Like, that's my opinion about him.
And when you consider his brother, too, just like... You have the NBA DNA, and you're like building into your body.
It's not even just him being a basketball player; it's him being a professional athlete, and showing like how to be a professional,
how to work.
Yeah, I mean,
and everything he learns from Hines Ward in that sense too.
Exactly. No, I think that's a big thing that doesn't get touched on enough.
Another guy that looks faster, you mentioned fast, is Sam. Like So the one.
Not in the college football game for some reason.
The one negative takeaway I have is Sam wasn't that sharp on Saturday, I would say. I think some of that is DBs. I think some of that is just Sam's kind of a gamer. I would say that he's a better player in games than he is in practice.
Totally.
And but he did take off in 11s, and it was pretty cool. He was really fast.
Felt the electricity.
Yeah, he was really fast. I'm still not sure he's going to be able to slide. That's a huge.
He can get out of bounds though.
That's true, but this one was up the middle. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that. If there's a deep safety lurking
we need to get him with
there.
Willie, man. Willie needs to come to a couple.
He really does, but and because this is my other takeaway from the quarterbacks. Jeff Sims still doesn't look very good, to be completely honest with you.
I'm going to disagree with you.
He looks better than last year, but there were still some Jeff Sims thrown behind the receivers and things like that I saw out there. I think that he might be the third best quarterback on the team.
Who's better? Who do you like?
I'm disagreeing again.
Yeah.
The freshman, Damon.
The injured freshman?
Yes.
Cam Dyer?
I liked
rehabbing?
I liked what I saw out of Cam Dyer.
He does look good, but he is still rehabbing.
He is still rehabbing, but the limited practice he was able to do, I liked what Cam Dyer did on Saturday. Maybe even a little bit more than Jeff Sims. I think
I'm going to go out on a limb here. We're not going to see Cam Dyer at all this year.
Probably not. Hopefully we don't see Jeff Sims except for like the fourth quarter of the NAU game.
We're going to see Jeff Sims kneel out some plays probably.
Yeah, that'll be fun for him.
Yeah.
But no, I would prefer to not. I like Cam Dyer. I think that Cam Dyer is the quarterback of the future once Sam is gone. I liked what I saw out of one practice. I've seen him in one practice, and he was limited. He had a big, giant brace on his knee that he hurt.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens with the quarterback situation after Levitt is gone. This is obviously a conversation for another day, but between Dyer and Jake Fetty as a true freshman, it'll be fun to watch that next year.
Yeah, for sure. Jesse, anything else that stood out to you from practice the other day that you wanted to touch on? Maybe the corners, maybe the tight ends. Is there something?
I can riff on the corners real quick. Keith Abney, the second, I have been so impressed with him this camp so far. He looks much bigger, and he's still, as quick as it gets at a corner. I mean, the battles between him and Tyson have been so fun to watch. They've been physical with each other. There have been times when Tyson is getting annoyed by that. And
that's fine.
Yeah. I mean,
what you want.
It is what you want. I mean, competitiveness in camp, if you don't have guys getting frustrated at points with each other, you don't have competitiveness. And so for Abney and Tyson to be that iron sharpens iron in this wide receiver and DB core, I mean, it's going to help so much throughout the year for both guys. And Matt Miller talking about Keith Abney lately has been cool to see as kind of a draft prospect. I think he was on the Shrine watch list as well. And then Rodney Bimage Jr., who's kind of breaking out in spring and fall as the third corner and looking like he can take on some real amount of snaps. I mean, he has really good ball skills, and his cover skills have shown really well, I think, as well. And, very heady corner as well. I mean, Kenny was just working with him a lot in ways that you could tell they're getting somewhere, and even talking glowingly about him after practices as well. I mean, that room is in such a good place at all levels, I think.
Yeah, and we'll get to nickel corner in just a little bit. We're not ignoring it. That is something that we have circled, and we're definitely going to get to. But Jesse, go ahead.
So I'll go through some of my remaining notes from practice. I always take notes on my notes app. Broncos and Colts Scout were there. That's been a theme of camp, I would say, is scouts for NFL teams.
11 scouts on Monday, the most in the Kenny Dillingham era.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be one of the most drafted Sun Devil classes, if that's how you want to phrase it.
The record is 8.
Yeah, I think that they might.
Do you know when that was?
I got to go back and look. I think 97.
I think that they might equal that this year potentially. So I think that's cool to see. One thing I saw that Sam was doing really well, reading the field. I could tell his eyes. He was looking everywhere, trying to find the best receiver. That was really cool. And then it seems like they're going to throw a little bit more. I think they're definitely going to throw a little bit more this year on early downs. It just from watching practice and how they were running things, they still definitely are going to focus on the run, but it definitely seems like they're going to throw, probably on earlier downs too. So that we'll see if they can kind of win through the pass this year, maybe a little bit more than the run. And then my last thing going, and I think this can take us into our next conversation, is I thought that Kyson looked a little bit better than Kanye. I thought Kyson had a really good practice. He had 2 huge runs, and then but Kanye also had a big run. I also think he looks good. I think this year we are really finally going to see 50-50, 60-40 on carries with running backs for this team.
We can get into running backs for a few minutes. Damon, you've been impressed with Kyson. He impressed us a little bit last year, specifically how he can catch the ball at the backfield as well. What are your expectations now that you've seen him for a couple of weeks now? What are your expectations from him?
I'm expecting about 60 to 65% of the running back touches to go to him, whether in the run or pass game. I just think that the way he's hitting holes this fall so far looks really impressive. Just the way he's able to get downhill so quickly, go from waiting for the hole to open to I'm 5 yards through the hole already is just amazing to see, I think. And then Kanye will really be able to bring that short yardage, more physical kind of back, third downs at times, depending on, what kind of looks they want to go to. And then Raleek Brown, of course, a kind of utility guy who you can put anywhere on the field. We've seen him out wide. We've seen him in the slot. We've seen him in the backfield. We've seen him coming from out wide to in the backfield before the snap. And, times when they've had multiple backs out on the field. And there have been times when, Kenny has talked about 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 14 personnel. And so they're really going to play a physical game. And I think they have a diverse backfield that can really hurt opponents any way you want to.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if they ran some 22, which is 2 backs, 2 tight ends, or some 23, 2 backs, 3 tight ends. I think that would be cool to see.
23 would be tough just because no receivers.
I'm talking about for like a goal line situation,
okay, yeah.
like literally like on the one, or they're stopped on
like
second
Kyson
and
Wild
short.
Scat kind of
Yeah,
packages.
that kind of thing I think would be cool if we saw like a 23, 22 personnel sets a few times, because again, I think their running back room is talented enough to have 2 guys out there.
And I think it's deep enough too that even if 1 or 2 of them get injured, you don't really start to panic yet, because Jason Brown and
Jeremy's
Man
guy.
Robinson, they have some guys in the bottom of that depth chart as well that I don't think I would be worried about if they had to see the field.
Yeah, and I think, if Kyson has to miss a game, if you give, most of the carries to Kanye or vice versa, I think they'll be fine in that game.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Nickel corner now. I teased it earlier in the show. Montana Warren and Kendrick Breedlove.
Yep.
Both have been solid, you would say?
Yeah.
Who would you give the edge to?
So Montana to me is kind of the incumbent or heir apparent, if you want to use terms like that, just because he's the guy that's been on the team, obviously started for Shamari in the Peach Bowl when Shamari had the targeting stuff, is wearing number 7 now to kind of visually remind you of Shamari, and at times makes plays that you go, oh, Shamari's on the team still? And, just kind of looks like Shamari, where he's like batting down balls at the line and things like that.
That's good.
I think he's got the early edge for me. I think that snaps-wise, they've been pretty 50-50, but Breedlove obviously comes in with that Big Ten experience, had 3 interceptions last year as a starter at Purdue, and obviously Purdue isn't the class of the Big Ten, but...
Really? You don't say.
But it still is a Big Ten program where he was facing good offenses and things like that, so it is valuable experience. I think you feel good about either one. It's not one of those situations where it's by default.
It's also like both of them are going to play.
Yeah.
Like
the depth is there for them to rotate in this defense a lot.
It's kind of like, you see a lot of rotating on, for wide receivers. You see a lot of rotating for defense alignment. You're going to see a lot of rotating in the cornerback positions.
And Bimmage will allow that at outside corner as well. And I mean, the depth is just better everywhere.
When someone gets tired, it's next man up. Like,
yep,
that's what's going to happen. It's going to be 100 degrees the first couple games of the season. You're going to have to swap out every once in a while. So all of these guys are going to play.
It's going to be hot and humid in Mississippi too, which they're going to have to deal with. We'll get into that preview, heading into that game. But I have a lot of thoughts on that.
All right, quickly, Ben Coleman, center, taking over for Leaf, looks good.
Feel good about it. Looks like Jameto Abibo is taking his spot at left guard. That's the Texas State transfer.
Great.
Who also had like a year starting for a 12-2 Incarnate Word team.
Yeah.
So has started on good teams.
Was he on the same team as Cam Ward?
I think so, yeah, actually.
That's interesting.
Okay. And yeah, offensive line depth you feel pretty good about everywhere. I think except center still, you'd like to see a little bit better production there in case Coleman goes down or anything like that. But overall, you feel good about the depth at offensive line. Jesus Gomez, I mean, goodness gracious, turning ASU's biggest
you.
weakness from 2024 into one of its biggest strengths. I mean, the dude bombs him. It is insane how good he is, or how good he has been in practice at the very least.
And it sounds different.
It sounds different.
Yeah.
Did you hear any Jesus Gomez kicks on Saturday?
No, I honestly I didn't think they practiced very much field goal on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
They were working a lot special teams wise on punt. That's where we saw the little skirmish breakout.
Right.
I didn't catch the numbers of who it was, but there was a little practice skirmish, which was fun to see. I'm I work with Ron Wolfley, so I'm pro training camp fighting. It brings guys together.
It does.
It shows passion.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It shows that you care.
Speaking of bringing guys together, that brings us right to Camp T, and what
What a
we want to see happen at Camp T. A lot of same guys as last year. Most of the group is back from last year. I mean, there's still new guys that have come in via transfer portal or what have you. That this is going to be another bonding moment for this team, and something that we can look back on at the end of the season and say that was a moment where this team became more as one. Same thing happened last year with Camp T. Other than that, guys, what do you want to see from Camp T? Is it basically, okay, Saturday is the biggest tune-up before we get to football in 3 weeks? Or
I'm excited to see how Saturday looks, just in terms of, the field operations and things like that, getting into more of a game environment, which Kenny talked about hoping to get on Saturday. Obviously, it could be a circus of people. Last year it seemed like it was almost overflowing, and the team had no expectations last year. I'm shudder to imagine what it will look like for a team that expects to be in the national championship contention. So just for that atmosphere to be at Camp T is going to be really cool to see, and it's going to be really cool to see how all the guys kind of respond to that as well. But really, like you talked about, it's the team bonding. It's the pranks that people are going to pull. Can Clayton Smith find a snake and put it below someone's bed in the cabin or something like that?
No thanks. Pass.
Or when they get to the top of Mount Cush, what are they going to read on their goal letters that they put in the time capsule from last year? That's something that Kenny Dillingham talked a lot about too, with the, I hope that these guys put goals on that paper that were unattainable and that they have not achieved, so that they still have something to strive for. And, we talked about how the goal setting of this team, I mean, Sam came out and said it, national championship and Heisman, like that's his goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just who this team is now. And so it'll be really cool to see how all of that kind of plays into each other.
Yeah, I want to see them have their most together practice of fall camp on Saturday, because of how they bond during the week. I want to hear that they went all the way to the top of the mountain like they did last year again. I want to hear that they really build up that camaraderie at camp. It's roughing it in the woods. It's not the pretty, I mean, it's a very pretty spot, but it's not the nicest of cabins or anything like that. Like,
they're not going to be pampered.
They're not going to be pampered, and I want to feel reassured that that brought them together, and I think that can show in their play, because last year I thought that they had a really good practice / scrimmage that Saturday after being at Camp T.
That's really when it felt like Sam Levitt took control of that job too.
Yes.
yeah, I'm very interested to see, because of what you said, Jesse, about him being a leader and controlling, really controlling the team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested to see what that's like in that environment on Saturday as well.
Yep.
Now, moving on to women's basketball. Damon, you were at women's basketball recently.
They had an open practice
Yes.
for their season ticket holders.
Okay.
They say that they had the most season tickets reserved to that point since like the last 2 years combined, more than that.
Cool.
Can confirm they have passed their goal.
Yeah. I think far and away past the goal.
They have passed their goal on season tickets this year.
And I mean, you hate to keep drawing comparisons to Kenny Dillingham in that program, but I mean, you're starting to feel some of that
I'm cool with
energy. Yeah. I mean, Molly Miller is talking about, we're shooting for a conference championship, and we don't feel like that's that lofty of a goal because of the way that we've recruited in the transfer portal. And when you look at that, I think she's more than right to say that. When you look at Marley Washnetz, who's played a lot at Pitt, Gabby Elliott, who played a lot at Penn State, some other people who have played a lot at other Power 4 levels as well, and then like some people who I didn't even get a chance to see at that practice, like Martina Fantini, who was at the U20 Eurobasket for Italy and having like a 16-8-4 game as a center.
Did you watch that at 2 a.m.?
I did not. But, I mean, just the amount of talent on this team, it should look demonstrably different than it's looked in the previous years. And everything qualitatively about what we saw was exactly what you would expect from a Molly Miller team. The disruptive defense, the fast-paced offense, the team camaraderie that's visible to see. I mean, everything looks exactly like what you would expect. And, you know, they're taking the team camaraderie to almost their own Camp T because, you know, the team went and hung out with McKenna Brackens at her Texas place where there is a mile-long driveway that they use for conditioning, Miller told us.
Nice.
Yeah. And so they're getting that camp experience, too, in a way where, you know, they're bonding together and everything like that. And so I think there's a lot to feel good about with how that program is starting off.
Yeah. Even if they aren't good this year, I just want to see them play hard, and that is what it sounds like they are doing. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and we'll learn more about these players as we get closer to the season. We're going to get, you know, into it as we get to the end of October and early November.
Mm-hmm.
And this team starts to ramp up to play some competitive games. Now, speaking of competitive guys, Leon Marchand.
Pretty competitive.
Yeah, he's pretty good, guys. 2 world championship
wins
and 1 world record.
Yeah,
he seemingly sets a world record 1 per year at least.
Yeah,
failed to beat his own world record in the other event.
What a loser.
Ryan Lochte, he had this world record, and then Leon was like, that's a nice world record. I'm going to beat it by more than a second.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy world record. This guy, as far as former ASU athletes that have gone on to have success, he's got to already be up there, and he's in his early 20s. He was just at ASU, so it's pretty crazy what he's doing. Like he's probably not going to be Michael Phelps, but
he might be.
But he's already like
he's also French. He's not
that's
American.
the problem.
Yeah, he's also like he's stacking some serious
baguettes.
He's stacking some serious accolades in swimming, and he looks, you know, it's great. It's great to see. I mean, ASU all over the world doing things.
I just hope he comes in second at the Olympics.
You know what? I'd be completely honest here. Like, I root for him in the Olympics.
Treason.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He went to ASU.
The next Olympics is in LA. Should we go?
That'd be
we
fun.
We should go, and we should just follow him around.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on it.
Sounds like a plan.
That's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find us on all forms of social media. At AZ Sports Devils is where you can find us, including Threads, Damon.
We have Threads?
Yes, we do.
Damon posted photos on there.
all of Damon's articles, pictures, everything you want to see from Damon. All his coverage is on ArizonaSports.com and the Arizona Sports app. Again, we'll be at Camp T on Saturday. Damon will be there starting Friday. So
dodgeball. Keep an eye out for dodgeball content.
Yeah. You can find that at AZ Sports Devils. Damon's going to post all the stuff, and it's going to be great. Thank you so much for listening and watching again. For Jesse Morrison, Damon Allred, I'm Jeremy Schnell. We'll talk to you soon.